I'm Luther Kruger with the Big Blue Sun Museum of Solar Cooking in Minneapolis, and I'm a guest of the headquarters for the knowledge base and advisory group for solar cooking worldwide, Solar Cookers International. Caitlyn Hughes graciously is letting me stay here. We're being as safe as possible here. And it's so nice to be here. It's the second time I've been here. It really is kind of a touchstone. Every time I'm out west, I gotta visit. And just have a few questions. They're all pretty basic.
Yeah.
First, with Solar Cookers International, maybe a 60-second history of the organization. Where are they now? What are your main projects right now?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking, and
Sure.
Thank you so much for being here. We are so happy to have you here in this office, but also as a part of the Solar Cooking family. It was nice to see you in Portugal.
Yes, Portugal.
Yeah, exactly. You've been such an awesome advocate and ambassador for Solar Cookers International, and being an SCI associate as well. Thank you for that. But Solar Cookers International started more than 30 years ago by a dedicated group of people who just really saw the potential of solar and really believed in an accessible technology. So, having something that could be used pretty much anywhere around the world and made anywhere around the world to benefit individuals, but also the global community. So we've continued to grow based on that experience, and we've got, a very dedicated team of staff and board of directors and global advisors, and we've got hundreds of collaborators in over 140 countries now, which is really exciting.
Right.
So
yeah.
So we're right now working, directly on the ground in Kakuma Refugee Camp in Kenya. But we're also doing a lot of work in terms of some of those big picture ideas. So doing advocacy work at the United Nations, so making sure that government leaders know about solar cooking so that they can include it in their government policies to try and drive more support and awareness for solar cooking with people who are controlling these sorts of things. We're also doing research, so the performance evaluation process testing. So we were just chatting about
Yes.
this earlier. If somebody wants to know how powerful a different solar cooker model is, then we've got that information ready for people. And then building capacity. So you spoke with our team who helps manage the Solar Cooking Wiki, so
Yes.
providing that information base. We also have we've been trying to track the number of solar cookers worldwide so we can see progress in the sector and where things are and how they're happening. So identified almost 4 million solar cookers worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, is that like people getting back to someone in that country, or going directly to you to say, hey, we distributed 20 here in this village, or 100 to this community, or what?
Yeah, we gather that information from a variety of sources, any source that we can get our
Sure.
hands on, basically. And we actually have the form on our website, so anybody can submit information. It can be the solar cooker in your backyard, or we have manufacturers who are sharing their data, or other nonprofits if they're distributing or manufacturing solar cookers. So pretty much any way, that we can get that information and share it with the world, because
Okay.
really it's trying to help the whole sector have
Sure.
that knowledge.
I think I filled that out when I only had maybe 30 cookers, and I maybe skewed the results for Minnesota, because there's maybe another 30 throughout the whole state. But by now I know that I have to have reached several dozen
Yeah.
who have considered at least getting them, and probably 10 or more that have gotten them and they use them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And that's what you call the adoption rate, right? Do you have that factored in, or is that like a next step for research, or what? As to make sure someone could say, I gave 100 to this village, and go back to the village and go, yeah, that paperweight, or right? I mean,
Right.
How does that work?
Yeah, that's a really, really important, and it's a really good question. So a little personal history, I actually started working with SCI. I was hired as a monitoring and evaluation specialist. Because after the 2014 conference, I think there was a lot of these really valid questions of like, well, how many solar cookers are there in the world, and are they actually being used? So one of the things Solar Cookers International did after that is we led a working group. So, these experts from all around with lots of different experience in different countries, we had about a dozen people come together and figure out what would be a really good standard survey to ask, standardized set of questions to ask people before they start solar cooking, and then probably about a year after that. So we can compare, okay, how much fuel were you using before, how much fuel are you using now? How often are you solar cooking? how much money or how much time were you spending
Sure.
on gathering fuel or buying fuel before having a solar cooker? Because then we can really quantify those results. And then that's really helpful when we're advocating to government leaders and they're like, oh, that's an interesting idea. It's like, no, it's not just an idea.
Yes.
Here's some proof. And then one of the things we've done to build on that recently through Mindy Fox, our special projects manager, who you've met as well, is to look at not just the environmental and health benefits, which are huge, but also the economic benefits on an individual level, but also on a country level, because I think that's something else that will continue to help drive investment into the sector and help everybody scale up, because all of us collectively want to reach that scale of 3 billion people who are still cooking over open fires, if not more. And so helping people realize the benefits, I think, can help inspire and justify that investment to help everybody reach that goal.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, one of the parts of my job with Minneapolis Police Department is analysis of current and future potential projects and so forth.
Yeah.
It's very surface level. It's not
Yeah.
really in depth.
Yeah.
And it's usually like, okay, we need this in 2 weeks. So I can't do anything
Right.
really serious. But
Right.
one thing that I've been blessed with is my brass have let me go to all sorts of national conferences
Yeah.
where I can survey best practices.
Mhm.
And the plug I would make here is the best practices are on the wiki, okay?
Thank you, yeah.
And in some of them it's like, well, it might be a best practice for just local.
Right.
You know, I hope my solar brunches are catching on. I know
Right.
that Segi there in Portugal said he's going to start doing them in England.
Nice.
And then the pandemic hits, but we're going to find ways. And I've
Yeah,
done
yeah.
one test run of a COVID safe
Nice.
brunch.
Great.
Failed on a couple things with success, wild success, as in everyone said, yes, keep doing it, keep trying,
Right.
tighten this thing and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
But anyway, so just that plug there. Everyone, if you want to know, get on that
Yeah.
wiki.
Yeah.
And I know I visited Solar Oven Partners in South Dakota, where they ship a whole lot
Mhm.
to the Dominican Republic,
Mhm.
Africa, and the Navajo Nation.
Yeah.
And they're actually doing a project where they're trying to find out just how many people in the Dominican Republic that they have go through a 2-day training.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them are still doing it? And I don't know
Yeah.
what the results are yet,
Yeah.
but there's stuff like that going on.
Yeah.
I hope that they will plug into
Yeah.
the wiki. I think there's a mention of them,
Mhm.
maybe a little description, but they're going in depth
Yeah.
that far.
Yeah.
Well, while we're here, we
Yeah.
have one of the I call it the pump priming solar cooker
Yeah.
that has been around for a long time. Maybe talk about the Cook It. This is I mean,
Yeah.
it's an icon of solar cooking.
It's a classic. It's
Yeah.
a classic model.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks for the invitation to speak more about this. So the Cook It was designed by Solar Cookers International by request of the United Nations, because they wanted something that could be made affordably and easily anywhere around the world.
Well, and that would have had to have been, what, 70s or 80s?
It was a while ago, yeah. I mean, Solar Cookers International officially became a nonprofit late 80s. So,
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
after that, but, and so we've got the plans to make this on our website and the wiki, so solarcookers.org and solarcooking.org. And we, Solar Cookers International, made these plans open source because we just want more people to be solar cooking. So a lot of people make them from recycled materials, so you can do cardboard, any shiny reflective materials, so like the inside of a potato chip bag even. So again, making it even more accessible and better for the environment if you're able to upcycle some materials. Also, you've got a few different options for the greenhouse, so trapping the heat. You can use a heat tolerant bag that comes with it if you buy it from us. You can also, it's basically the same thing that you would roast a turkey in. So, but you can also use Pyrex bowls, like a clamshell, so one on the bottom, one on the top. And use that as your heat trap. And that actually, you can see the results with our PEP test.
Yes.
That increases the power for the cooking, which is pretty neat. So obviously a little bit harder to ship, but if you do have access to that, that's a neat sustainable way to up the power of the Cook It.
Sure. And over the years, the SCI has actually used to ship these. Is there still any production of these as they are right here right now, or is it kind of farmed out to other organizations?
Yeah, good question. So we do encourage, we were just speaking about best practices, local production, and that's, I think, a much sustainable and scalable approach to it. And then we also want the knowledge about solar cooking, how to do it, but then also how to make solar cookers to be within a community. So it's really about empowering the people that we work with to have that and to take ownership of that, which I think is really important. So even in the past, when we were doing projects with a Cook It, for example, in Kenya, they were being produced in Kenya.
Okay.
Just because otherwise the shipping costs and the carbon
Yes.
footprint for transporting solar cookers all around the world, like I said, we'd much rather have that happen within communities, because then there's a sense of pride and that sustainability as well. So the cookers that we're doing in Kakuma Refugee Camp right now are produced in Nairobi with materials
Sure.
in Kenya, which is pretty neat. So, and we've seen that pride from the people we're working with there, which is pretty neat. So,
Sure.
yeah, but I know a lot of different people can make them. Like I said, we've got the plans open source, and we just want more people to be solar cooking. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, in just about every panel cooker I've seen, there's some variation on this. Somewhere, if you look at them, you'll see they're panels.
Yeah.
They might just be a different shape, different ways of snapping it together and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's been adopted by people that want to promote it
Mm-hmm.
and make it. So I was hoping to make it to Taylor, Arizona, to visit barbecue. Over the years, I've been passing
Yeah.
through on the way to New Mexico to relatives, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, my planning was terrible, and it's too late now. But
Right.
someday I'll visit the Sustainability Center,
Yeah.
and now that I have it's one of the original
Yeah.
Solar Box Cookers International
Yeah.
boxes. I can't think of anything else right now. The future? What are
Yeah.
plans right now? What do you have in the hopper?
Yeah, well, and one thing I would just add too is, obviously we have a strong history with this, and we just encourage people to use whatever solar cooker is the best fit for their needs. So we recognize there's variability based on climate and household size and types of foods and all that, and we just want, long-term success and adoption for solar cooking. So we encourage people to use whatever's best for them. If the Cook It is best for them, awesome. If another type of cooker is best for them, great. We just want more people to do solar cooking.
Sure. Okay. And anything else you want to share with whoever gets this on the web, on the Facebook?
Yeah. I would just say a big thank you to everybody who helps make this possible. So our supporters, our volunteers, our collaborators. It really is the solar cooking family, and that's one of the things that I love about it. It's such a diverse, beautiful, dedicated, collaborative family, and that's why I'm excited to keep working on it. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and the two websites, write them down. Solarcookers.org is the SCI, the organization, and all the stuff you got going on. And then solarcooking.org will get you to the wiki with. When I met with Tom and Paul,
Yep.
I said it's like the Library of Alexandria, and,
Yep.
and Tom says right away that didn't end so well. I mean, well, yeah, but hey, but this will be broadcast because people have copies all over, and
Yeah.
so write them down. Solarcookers.org
Yep.
for the organization. Get involved,
Yep.
support them, share that website. Actually, I've got one of those canopies. So when they can go out to the farmers markets again,
Yeah.
and it's got this thing for the shade for the people. Well,
Right.
that's why I'm going to put both of those websites. That's all I'm going to put on there.
Yeah.
Not going to have flyers.
Yeah.
Just say write that down, look it
Yes.
up on your phone
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
and then solar cooking again, solarcooking.org for the wiki.
Yep.
Get educated. Find out how it's simple to make your own. It's easy to find. There's probably every continent. There's a way to order them and so forth. So
Yeah.
thank you, Caitlyn.
Yeah. Thank you.
This
for your
was fun.
time. Yeah.
This is great, and the air quality isn't too bad today.
Yep. It's a good day for solar cooking.
Yeah.